Hi, my loves. Welcome back. My niece gifted me a beautiful new oracle deck. It's the Dark Moon Oracle by Yasmin Boland. It's such a beautiful deck, and I wanted to share it with you guys. And the very first time I sat down with it, this is what came through. So if this has found you, I don't think it's an accident. And before you decide that this isn't for you, I want you to notice something. Notice that you almost kept scrolling, but something made you stop. And that something, that's what we're here to talk about today. Who knows, maybe this is the sign that you've been praying for. This is a collective reading, so not every word will land for everyone, and that's okay. Trust your intuition, take what resonates, and leave what doesn't. You know yourself best. And if something in this reading stirs something in you and you want to go deeper into your own situation, I offer private readings through my Etsy shop. The link is in the pinned comment and in the video description below. Okay, loves, let's see what Spirit has for you. Your first card is Agency, Alchemy, Ease, Eris, Scattered, and Revelations. As I sat with these 6 cards, what came through wasn't gentle. It wasn't a hand on the shoulder. It was more like Spirit was pulling up a chair directly across from you, looking you straight in the eye and saying, "We need to talk about what you've been doing." Because here's what's actually been happening for a lot of you right now. You're functioning, showing up, and you're getting through the days. From the outside, it probably looks like you're fine, maybe even good. But inside, something's been sitting heavy, something you haven't said out loud, something you've been managing around instead of moving through. And you've gotten so good at managing it that you've almost convinced yourself that it isn't there. But Spirit sees it, and that's why we're here. Agency arrives first, and what I'm feeling with this card isn't a gentle nudge. It's a direct confrontation with something that most of us do without realizing it. We tell ourselves that we have no choice. We say things like, "I'm stuck. There's nothing I can do." And we believe it. We've rehearsed it so many times that it feels like fact. But Spirit is showing me that the stuckness isn't the situation. The stuckness is the story that you've been telling yourself about the situation. You have more agency than you've been claiming, not to control everything or force outcomes, but to guide yourself, to steer, and to take one step in a direction that isn't standing still. And the reason that you haven't, that's what the rest of these cards are about to get into. Then Alchemy arrives, and this one is asking something uncomfortable. It's asking you to look into the gap between who you're presenting to the world and who you actually are. Not because the version you're presenting is wrong, but because the performance of it is costing you something. Every time you show up polished when you're crumbling, every time you say, "No, I'm good," when you're not, every time you lead with what looks strong instead of what's actually true, you're burning through energy you don't have. And Spirit is saying that the real transformation you're looking for, the actual alchemy, it doesn't happen on the surface. It happens when you stop performing and lying about being okay, and you start being honest about what isn't. E steps in next, and I want you to sit with the irony of this card appearing right here, because ease is exactly what you've been trying to manufacture. You've been trying to keep things smooth, to keep the peace, keep everything manageable, keeping everyone else comfortable, all while keeping yourself from falling apart in the wrong places at the wrong times. And what Spirit is showing me is that all of that keeping, it's exhausting. There's a version of ease that's real and it flows, and there's a version of ease that's performed and it drains. Right now, you're living in the second one, and the cards are asking, what would it actually feel like to stop trying so hard to hold it all together? And then Eris walks in, and love, she doesn't come quietly. Eris is the goddess of discord. the one who disrupts. And in most contexts, we're taught that disruption is something to be avoided, something to be afraid of, or something that means things are going wrong. But Spirit is showing me something different here. The discord in your life right now, that tension, the unease, the thing that keeps surfacing no matter how many times you try to push it back down, that isn't a problem that's happening to you. It's a signal. Something in your life needs to be disrupted. Maybe it's a conversation that hasn't been had, a truth that hasn't been spoken, or a dynamic that keeps running on an old script that doesn't fit anymore. Eris isn't here to make things harder. She's here because the path to peace runs directly through the thing that you've been avoiding. Scattered arrives next, and what I'm getting here is so specific. This isn't about being disorganized. It's about what happens in your mind and your energy when you're carrying something unresolved. Because when there's a truth that you haven't faced, it takes up space and it runs in the background of everything. It shows up as scattered energy, the inability to focus, the feeling of spinning without moving, or the sense that you keep starting things and not finishing them. And it's not because you're lazy or unfocused. It's because some part of you is still stuck in the thing that you won't look at. Spirit is showing me that the clarity that you've been reaching for is not going to come from better planning or better habits. It's going to come from finally sitting down with the thing that's been fragmenting you. And then Revelations closes this first part, and it lands like a door finally swinging open. What I'm feeling with this card is that there is something that you've been in the dark about, maybe about someone else, about a situation, but most likely it's about yourself, about what you actually want, what you've actually been feeling underneath all of the managing and the performing and the keeping it all together. And Spirit is saying that the revelation is close, it's right there. But to receive it, you have to move out of your head. Because I'm being shown that you've been thinking your way around instead of feeling your way through it. Love, the answer that you've been looking for isn't in the analysis. It's in the part of you that already knows and has quietly been waiting for you to get still enough to listen. But Spirit's not done. They have another message for you. Your first card is Break Free, followed by Torn. Then you received Medusa, Unveil, Resistance, Bypassing, and your final card is Adventure. And what came through in these 7 cards isn't a soft landing, it's a doorway, and Spirit's standing at the threshold asking if you're ready to walk through it. Break Free arrives first, and the word that keeps coming through with this card is inflexible, not lazy or broken, but inflexible. And it's because what's been keeping you stuck isn't a lack of effort, it's your tight grip on everything, on how things are supposed to look or how you're supposed to handle things. The grip on the version of yourself that has always managed, always coped, and found a way to keep going without asking anything from anyone. And Spirit is saying that the grip is the thing, and the moment that you loosen it, even slightly, everything will shift. And it's not going to be because the situation magically changes, but because you stop fighting the direction life is actually trying to take you in. Then Torn steps in, and this one I feel immediately because this card is about mixed signals, and Spirit is asking you to look honestly at whether you've been sending them to the universe, the people in your life, and to yourself. Saying you want one thing, but moving towards another. Saying that you're fine when you're not. Saying that you've let something go when you're still holding it with both hands at 3 in the morning. The torn feeling you've been carrying isn't confusion. It's the gap between what you know and what you're willing to admit you know. And Spirit is saying that the way through isn't to keep living in that gap. It's to pick a side where your truth is, even when it's uncomfortable. Then Medusa arrives next. And love, stay with me here. Because Medusa's story isn't about being a monster, and it never was. She was powerful and misunderstood and misrepresented by people who were afraid of what she carried. And Spirit is bringing her through right now for a reason. Because somewhere along the way, something happened. Something that wounded you. Maybe it was a betrayal. Maybe it was someone who made you feel like your strength was the problem. Maybe it was years of being told directly or indirectly that taking up your full space was too much. And instead of turning that pain into armor the way Medusa eventually did, you turned it inward. You made yourself smaller and told yourself that it was easier this way. Spirit is calling you to reclaim your voice right now, not with vengeance or bitterness, but with a fierce, quiet knowing that you are the one who defines your own power, not what happened to you or who hurt you, but you. Unveil comes after Medusa, and the sequence of these two cards together is not an accident, because Medusa is about reclaiming what was taken, and Unveil is about looking at what you're still afraid of, specifically what fear has been running underneath all of this, because there is one. There's a fear that's been driving the avoidance, the performance, the scattered energy, and the bypassing. And Spirit is asking you to draw back the curtain on it, name it, not to torture yourself with it, but because once you can name the fear clearly, you'll be able to see exactly where it came from and what it's actually protecting you from, and it'll lose most of its power over you. The curtain is already moving, love. You just have to be willing to finish pulling it back. Then resistance steps in, and this card is blunt in the best possible way. You've been working against yourself, not consciously or maliciously, but there is something you know needs to happen, a direction that life is trying to move you towards, a truth that you need to face, or a conversation that you need to have. Maybe it's a change that you need to make. And I feel like your heels are dug in. Maybe it's pride. Maybe it's fear of what changes when you stop resisting, or fear of who you become when you finally let this move through you. And Spirit is saying very clearly that only when you drop the resistance will you get the illumination that you've been asking for. The clarity isn't being withheld from you. It's waiting on the other side of the one thing you keep refusing to do. Bypassing arrives next. And this is the card that I felt the most when I sat down with this entire spread, because bypassing is a pattern that ties everything else together. Going through something with a smile and gritted teeth, paying lip service to growth without doing what growth actually requires, telling yourself that you've dealt with it when you've actually just gotten better of stepping around it. Spirit isn't saying this to shame you, because bypassing is not weakness. It's a survival strategy. It's what we do when something feels too big, too dangerous, or destabilizing to face head on. But Spirit is calling time on it now, because the destabilization that you've been trying to avoid, it's already here. You're living it. And the only thing left to decide is whether you face it with intention or keep waiting for it to resolve on its own. And then adventure closes everything, and this card arrives like a breath of air in a room you didn't realize had gotten stuffy. Because after all of that, Spirit ends this reading with an adventure, not a burden or a consequence, but an adventure. And what I'm feeling with this final card is something I need you to really let in. What's going on the other side of this truth that you've been avoiding isn't punishment. It isn't more hardship or proof that you should have stayed comfortable. It's movement and expansion. It's the version of your life that actually fits who you are right now instead of who you've been pretending to be. Spirit is asking you to reframe this moment, not as something falling apart, but as something that's beginning. Love, the fear that's been keeping you stuck, it's old, and the adventure is waiting. Sit with that for a second. So here's what Spirit wants you to take with you from today's reading. You've been functioning, managing, performing, being okay so consistently that you started to believe your own performance. And these cards aren't here to shame you for that. They're here because Spirit is saying that it's time. Time to reclaim the agency you actually have, to let the alchemy happen at the level that it's real. Time to stop manufacturing ease and start telling the truth about what's heavy. To let Eris disrupt what needs disrupting. To get unscattered by finally facing the thing that's been fragmenting you. Time to receive the revelation that's already on its way. And on the other side of all of that, you're going to break free. You won't be torn anymore. The curtain will finally be pulled back, and the resistance will be dropped. The bypassing will be done, and you'll step into the adventure that's been waiting for you. The adventure you couldn't see before because you were too busy holding the old story together. That's what Spirit sees for you, love. Not the managing version of you, but the real one. As always, my loves, this was a collective reading, so honor what resonated and gently release what didn't. Only you'll know what's meant for you. If you want to go deeper into your own specific situation, I'm here for you. Private readings are available through my Etsy shop. You'll find the link in the pinned comment and in the video description. I would love to read for you, and I would love to hear from you. Let me know what resonated. I genuinely read every comment, and I love connecting with you in the comments section. And before I go, I want to point out that the thing that you've been avoiding isn't as big as the weight of carrying it has made it feel. That's the thing about facing something. It's almost never as devastating as the anticipation of having to face it. The fear made it a monster, but the truth will make it a door. So walk through it, my love. What's on the other side is all yours. I love you, I appreciate you, and I'll meet you in the comments.